Oh crap, not again. The last time I fell asleep like that, I was out for 3 whole days. Well, anyways, after gallivanting around Elwyn Forest, learning the basics of the game, hunting down kobolds, cooking up pork belly pies, murdering prize-winning pigs, and taking down a souped-up gnoll on steroids, I think it's about time to move on to the next zone, Westfall. I've already received a couple of quests pushing me in that direction, so it seems like the logical thing to do. However, before we do that, I want to check out this mage quest that I received from Janaea. So I take a quick peek at the quest log and it tells me to go to the base of the waterfall at Mirror Lake, southwest of the Stormwind Gates. I mentioned this before, but I actually really appreciate that the devs simply instruct players where to go based on geographic direction, namely the compass and existing landmarks. Hear me out. I understand that it's not as convenient and it takes a little more effort, but it is so much more rewarding to feel that personal sense of agency and discovery in a video game. Alright, as I make my way to the Stormwind Gates, I take a look at the compass as well as the map to see if I can spot any nearby lakes. And wow, would you look at that? There is a lake right where Janaea said it would be. So I find Mirror Lake, take a quick little shower under the waterfall. We mages take our personal hygiene very seriously. Pick up a water sample with the flask that Janaea gave to me, return to Stormwind, run into this random guild gathering or meeting, not sure what's going on there, make the trek back to the mage district, and hand the flask over to Janaea, who tells me that she'll test it out for magical properties. As a reward, I receive an offhand weapon called Delay Orb, but realize that I can't actually use it while holding my big old fighting stick. Bummer. I'm also kind of disappointed that the quest didn't lead to anything else, at least not for now. Oh well, maybe it will come up again later. I then take a quick second to stare longingly at what I'm assuming is the teleport portal, take some advice from a viewer to keybind my secondary action bar to shift 1, 2, 3, etc., which I greatly appreciate, check to see if there's any more abilities to train, there aren't, make a quick stop at the bank, being sure to run through these queue lines like a decent civilized human being, and I'm off to Westfall. I still have my Hearthstone set to the Lion's Pride Inn, so I decide to fast travel there, not only to save me some time, but also to say goodbye to a couple of my friends. If you never see me again, it's more than likely because, well, I'm probably dead. As I approach the bridge into Westfall, the terrain begins to visibly shift into something completely different. The lush grass and green forest trees turn into a more expansive and open farmland, with golden fields and fall-colored leaves, which, I'll be honest, I really like the change of scenery. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed Elwyn Forest for sure, but having a bit of variety as you venture into a new zone helps to keep the game fresh and a little more interesting. As soon as I enter Westfall, I run into Farmer Furlbro, who just so happens to be the guy I was looking for. He explains to me that he and his wife Verna are trying to get out of here, but they can't go anywhere until they get their wagon fixed. I tell him, oh hey, guess what? I found the deed to your farm. Yeah, I took it off the body of one of those Defias bandits that I murdered in cold blood. He looks at me slightly concerned and says, thanks? Yeah, sure, no problem. I then get distracted by this guy who asks to get a selfie with another player. Wait, is it a famous streamer or something? Why does he... Oh, I see why now. Anyways, to reward me for returning the deed to his entire estate, the farmer gives me some pumpkins and watermelons. Alright, give me the deed back. He then asks if I'd be so kind as to retrieve a forgotten pocket watch that he had received from his wife's father on the day of their wedding. Well, that's nice. I then speak with his wife Verna, who asked me to do 2 things. Deliver the recipe for Westfall stew to one of her friends, and scrounge up some handfuls of oats for poor old Blanchy, who apparently hasn't had anything to eat since they left the farm. Don't worry, old girl, I'll find you something to eat. As I depart on my quest, I run into the first new enemy type in Westfall, a harvest golem. Some sort of a mechanicalized scarecrow creature, which I think is actually a perfect fit for enemy mobs in a farmland region. These guys aren't actually too bad, but just wait until you meet their big brothers. Oh, and there's also some random Defias gang members scattered throughout the farms, which I'm happy to kill on sight whenever I get the chance, because I will never forget what they did to me. Finding the sacks of oats was actually a little bit challenging, considering that not only were they quite spread out, but they kind of blended into the terrain, so they weren't easy to spot from far away. And oh, cool, a vulture, another new mob type. It's nice to know that I'll be regularly discovering new types of enemies as I continue to progress and explore through different zones. While I run around searching for these sacks of oats, I stumble upon another farmhouse where I run into Verna's friend, who I kind of think is hitting on me, which is sort of weird since I'm an old bald guy probably twice her age. Not to mention that she's married and her husband is standing right outside the door. But anyways, I hand her the recipe and she gives me 2 subsequent quests. One to find ingredients for Gortusk liver pie and another for Verna's famous Westfall stew. Is anyone else picking up on the food theme yet? I make a quick stop to speak with Farmer Saldian and I assure him there is nothing going on between me and his wife. He gives me a suspicious smirk and then asks if I'd be willing to kill some of the harvest watchers that have taken over their farm. Yeah, if you thought the harvest golems were scary, these guys are terrifying, especially since they're 4 levels higher than me. Guys, maybe he actually suspects something is going on between me and his wife, and he just wants me dead. But no, yeah, I'm going to have to put a pin in this quest and come back to it later. Knowing that poor old Blanchy is back at the wagon starving to death, I want to continue my search for more sacks of oats while also completing some of these other miscellaneous quests. I head west in the direction of Farmer Furlbrow's farm, run in terror from these watchers that keep ambushing me out of nowhere. These guys do like 25 damage per auto attack. Holy crap, yeah, no thank you. I find the farmhouse, start attacking this Defias trapper standing inside, and oh crap, there was another guy standing around the corner, and not just any other guy, Benny Blanco, a named level 15 Defias gang leader. I already know what's about to happen. This guy's going to turn me into his own personal human pinata, but then, like a scene straight out of the movies, a hero appears. The dwarven legend himself, Hamroll. He doesn't even think twice. He just starts face tanking both the Defias mobs head on, chopping them down left and right. They don't stand a chance, and it seems like victory is at hand. But then the classic WoW gods see what's transpiring. They take a look at Hamroll and agree that no one dwarf should have this much power. So they spawn another Defias member right on top of him. Out of mana and completely helpless, I watch in horror as my dwarven savior is cut down right before my very eyes. With tears streaming down my face, I give out a fearsome battle cry and start swinging my battle stick like a madman. Alas, it's not enough. I'm forced to flee for my life, but then I think to myself, no, what would Hamroll do? So I turn around to face death like a true, oh, she's running away. I guess I'll just throw a fireball and nice, I got her. I walk right over where Hamroll took his last breath and kneel before the corpse of the dwarven legend. Friend, your sacrifice was not in vain. I then enter the farmhouse, search the wardrobe, find Farmer Furlbrow's pocket watch, finish collecting all 8 handfuls of oats, get distracted watching Hamroll get mowed down again by this harvest watcher, and in the process, I die to a pig. I don't want to talk about it. I return to Farmer Furlbrow, hand him the pocket watch to complete the first quest, turn in the handfuls of oats for old Blanchy, and I reach level 12. Since my bags are completely full, I return to Farmer Saldian to free up some inventory space. I then decide to hunt down some pigs to help Salma with her Gortusk liver pie. And let me tell you, this was actually more difficult than you might think. The Gortusks, at least from my vantage point, were spaced out and scattered at a bunch of random spawn points. Not to mention, there were quite a few players also looking to tag the pigs as soon as they appeared. So I found myself running all around the Westfall map to complete this quest. However, it actually turned out to be a blessing in disguise, because in my search for these Gortusks, I discovered this stone tower landmark called Sentinel Hill, which is actually the location where I'm supposed to report to Grian Stoutmantle. So I decided to take a break from my current objective, and no, it's definitely not because I died to a pig, again. As I introduce myself to Grian Stoutmantle, he mentions a group called the People's Militia. Apparently, a bunch of thugs and murderers have overtaken the nearby farms and scared off all of the hardworking, honest people of Westfall. To fight back against these treacherous villains, the People's Militia was formed, and they've taken it upon themselves to keep the land free of corruption and restore peace to its surroundings. And right now, they need my help. Specifically, they're asking me to dismantle some of the Defias gang members that are lurking in the area. Luckily for them, I've kindled a passionate hatred for the Defias gang, and before he can even finish his sentence, I tell him that I'm in. It's at this moment that my wife enters the room and wants to talk to me about something, so I pause the recording and, like an idiot, I forgot to turn it back on as I resumed playing. Unfortunately, it was actually kind of a big moment since I received a quest that taught me about and allowed me to ride a griffin for the first time. So here's some footage of me pretending to ride the griffin for the first time. Whoa, dude, this is so cool. I've never seen any of this before. Okay, but no, seriously, I think the Griffin fast travel system is actually a really cool concept. It's kind of the perfect balance between quality of life for convenience and player immersion. Yes, it will significantly speed up your travel time from one location to another, but it's not instantaneous, which means players still have to plan out their trips accordingly since it does cost them some time. They can't just go back and forth without consequence, and it doesn't take away from the immersion of the game since the griffins are physically transporting people across the map. And beyond that, you get some pretty cool views of the world during the flight that I don't think you can experience anywhere else. Alright, back to slaughtering some pigs.